Hi there, in this TutorTube revision video, let's spend a few minutes looking at the key concepts of static and dynamic efficiency in markets. Now, economic efficiency generally is about making the optimal best use of scarce factor resources to help meet and satisfy people's and society's changing needs and wants. We make a distinction between allocative and productive, dynamic and social efficiency. Now, static efficiency refers to the optimal allocation of resources at a given point in time, and it's made up of two types of efficiency, allocative and productive. So allocative is where resources are allocated to produce the goods and the services most desired, most valued by society. Productive efficiency is where goods and services are supplied at the lowest possible cost. If we think about supermarkets such as Tesco, Tesco is obviously a highly scaled business, and it demonstrates static efficiency by using advanced logistics systems, for example, to minimise their unit costs and to help keep prices competitive. So that's really a use of productive efficiency, firms such as Tesco achieving economies of scale to allocate output in the most cost-effective way. Allocative efficiency can be seen in the NHS, hopefully, where there's a limited healthcare budget and resources are ideally allocated to providing the treatments, both primary and secondary care, that provide the greatest overall benefit to patients, funding life-saving drugs or vaccinations, or critical surgery over non-essential treatments improves welfare with available resources. We can show allocative efficiency using supply and demand, although keep in mind, of course, the supply curve is basically the marginal cost curve and the demand curve is the marginal private benefit curve. So at the equilibrium at point S there's a level of consumer surplus equal to area RSP and producer surplus equal to PSQ. So when a competitive market is in equilibrium, where price reflects willingness to pay and the marginal cost of supply, then that is an output which maximises total consumer welfare, or total welfare if you like, producer plus consumer surplus. So when we maximise consumer and producer surplus, economic welfare is maximised. Productive efficiency is where a company or a business is producing their goods and services at the lowest feasible average cost using the fewest possible resources. So you're minimising waste in production. In other words, the company is using their resources in the most efficient way, and the technical condition is that output is maximised, output is achieved at minimum unit cost of production. So if you think about the long and average cost curve, the minimum efficient scale, the lowest point of the average cost curve in the long run. Now, static efficiency is both allocative and productive. Dynamic efficiency refers to the ongoing adaptation and improvement of the things we make, the goods and services, and how we make them, production processes, to meet changing market demands and conditions. So essentially it's the ability of a business, for example, Tesco, to respond to market changes, innovate and improve over time. Now, the goal of dynamic efficiency is linked very strongly to sustainability and create value for the company and its stakeholders. In healthcare, for example, we've seen huge improvements in efficiency using electronic health records, increasing the use of AI, telemedicines, wearable health tech, and these have helped, although, it depends on the extent to which these are rolled out to affect millions of people, to streamline processes, reduce errors, and hopefully improve patient outcomes, and there's a social benefit from that. In your microeconomics paper, you will always receive stronger analysis marks by building economic efficiency, economic and social welfare into your answer. It also helps your evaluation. So have a mind to think about efficiency and welfare when you are doing your data response and essay questions. Outcomes in markets and industries need to be judged on a case-by-case basis. Don't assume that one market structure is the same as another. And make sure that you can comment on the likely consequences for static, in other words, allocative and productive, and dynamic efficiency of different market structures. The key really is to understand a little bit of where dynamic efficiency comes from. Now, supply-side policies have a role to play here. The protection of intellectual property rights via patent and trademark laws, the impact over time of skilled inward migration and having a more diverse labour force. Critical investment into human capital to build skills and capabilities in, for example, STEM subjects. Funding for universities' science parks to create external economies of scale. Tax incentives for businesses to engage long-term in R&D. Opening up markets to make them more contestable. It's often a sign which drives improved non-price competition through dynamic efficiency. And at the moment, of course, we're talking about global trade wars, but most economists believe that open trade, fair trade, hopefully equitable trade in goods and services, is also a way of stimulating competition and gains in both allocative, productive and dynamic efficiency.